Hi everyone, this is Hiba from My Little Journal, and today I'm back working in my 2023 October daily. I'm going to be working on day 10 and 11, and for day 10, I'm using the prompt monster. I printed out small photos of my favorite monster, which is my niece. She's adorable and she's far from a monster, well, in a good way. So anyways, I was looking through my 4x8 papers because I wanted to back up my template with some pattern paper. As you guys know, I do want to try to use up some of my stash. I was looking for paper with stripes. I envisioned adding these photos within the stripes. And I found that the angled pattern paper worked better. Like my photos fit better in there. They are a tiny bit smaller than the stripes, but it's not a big deal. I actually prefer the photos being smaller. That way you can see the colors of my pattern paper. Anyways, I went ahead, stuck down my pattern paper. I'm going to take it to my cinch machine and punch out my holes. And now I'm going to try out my photos and kind of see where I want them to sit on my pattern paper. So I decided I wanted my photos to look like they were a part of the stripes. And to do that, I'm going to have to trim off some of the edges of some of the photos. I'm a-okay with that. I don't end up cutting off somebody's face or anything. I'm just cutting some corners so they can blend into the background, and it's going to look like my photos are a part of the pattern. I also want to keep in mind that I want to stamp my number. My numbers are really big, the ones I've been using in my October daily, and I feel like I don't have space for my numbers. So what I'm going to end up doing is grabbing that number stamp from Studio Calico and trying it out. And as you can see, the numbers do not fit. I can make it fit, but I also need space for a title. So I'm going to have to remove that bottom photo and add it to the top. It's going to fall at an angle, and I'm going to have to cut my photo a tiny bit again to fit into that pattern. But that way I have space for a title and my large numbers, and I don't have to overthink it. So once I move that photo up top, I'm going to grab my number 10, stamp it in that space, and that way it fits nicely and I'll have space for my title as well. Now that I'm done stamping out my number, I'm going to go ahead and stick down my photos. So you'll see while I'm sticking down my photos that there's a lot of space in between my photos. And I purposely did that because I wanted to use some stickers to fill those out. And again, that's a great way for me to use my stash. So once I'm done sticking down my photos, I decided to go with stickers because I knew I had a lot of puffy stickers and that would help add dimension. And I also have a lot of large stickers as well. And I'm the type of crafter that does not use large stickers. I don't know why. I don't like using large stickers, and I really want to use them because they've been in my stash forever. And right when I opened my little bag of stickers, the first thing I found was that October calendar, and it was a nice size, and I think it would have just been sitting there forever if I didn't use it now. So I used that. I even use some smaller stickers to fill in like the little gaps. And I found this Happy Halloween sticker, which again is a big sticker, but it was almost the same size as my photos. So I went with it, used that, and I love the yellow against the orange. It just looks really good and made the whole layout pop. Anyways, at this point, I want to add my title, and I'm going with some white alphas because I really wanted it to pop against the orange again. And so I'm going to just keep it very simple, and my title is going to be Cute Monster. Now, I am out of E's as always, but I'm going to make my own E, and that's a-okay. You can't really tell. I think if you weren't watching this video, you wouldn't even notice that I made my own E with one of my L's. So anyways, I'm going to finish that up, and then I'm going to go back to my stickers. I do want to add a little sticker next to my number. There was a lot of space there it was a good spot for me to use a sticker. And I'm gonna go with my favorite spider stamp at the moment. This is from Everyday Explorers. I feel like that spider is the perfect size and it's not cutesy, which I like even more. I'm just gonna stamp the spider right underneath the 10 and add a spider web coming from my 10 to the spider and call day 10 done, and then we can move on to day 11. So for day 11, I'm using my template, and the template has 3 2x2 boxes. So I'm going to be doing the prompt, I think, spooky movie night. And I printed 3 movies that I will be watching, hopefully with my kids. So the first one is Interview with a Vampire, Edward Scissorhands, and Sleepy Hollow, I believe. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and add those 2x2s in the 2x2 boxes. And I wanted to recreate something that I did last year. I used the stamp set from Close to My Heart to stamp out the couch, and then used another stamp with a ghost to stamp the ghost, like kind of standing behind the couch. I did this last year in a totally different way, but I like the idea of the couch with the ghost, and I had that space in between my photos. So I'm basically going to recreate that. I always say this, the best person to scrap lift is yourself. If you like something you did in the past, do it again. It's not a big deal. It doesn't make you less of a crafter. You recreate something that you did in the past. Anyways, I did cover up the little title that was on the couch. Obviously, it was not Halloweenish. And so I just basically covered that with washi tape and stamped out my couch. Now I want to stamp my ghost, but I will use my masking tape to help me stamp the ghost. I want the ghost to look like it's standing behind the couch, not in front of it. So I'm just using my masking tape, and then I'll stamp my ghost, and it looked so cute. It's gonna look even better once I color everything in. Okay, so now that that's done, I can move on to my title. So for my title, I didn't want to stamp the whole thing. I knew it was not going to fit. I still need to add my number stamp and all that good stuff. So I start with a large alpha and I stamp out movie. And then to save myself some time, I decided that I would use one of my stamps that says spooky to add to my title. That way I'm not stamping spooky from scratch. And I stamp spooky right above movie. I also need to fit in night, so it can say spooky movie night. And again, I use another stamp to fill in night. And so again, I don't have to stamp it from scratch. But it didn't look that great. I feel like it looked very boxy, and I was hoping that I would use that whole vertical space for my title. I don't know what it is. The fonts didn't fit together well. It looked very boxy. It was not what I envisioned, but I just keep going. I leave it as is. I feel like I usually do better at fixing things at the end and kind of seeing how it all comes together. So I basically move on and I grab this Boo stamp from my Everyday Explorer stamp set, and I stamp it in this like really pretty tan because I thought I could bring in the tan one of my movie covers. But once I stamped it and I started coloring things in, I was like, oh no, I forgot to add my number stamp. And that number stamp, again, is pretty big and hefty and it needs space. So while I was coloring in my couch and my ghost, I was thinking to myself, how can I make this work? And I come to the conclusion that I have to cover up that Boo. Even though it brought in that tan to the bottom of my layout, and, it filled in that space nicely, I'm just going to have to let it go because I need to add my number and it needs that space. Okay, so it's time to cover up my Boo and use my number stamps to do that. So I'm just going to stamp it on white paper, create a little box to cover the Boo, and it works out perfectly. And I actually don't mind it at this point. Yes, it still looks very boxy once I cover up the boo with my number stamp, but I'm a-okay with it. I'm just going to let it go. I always say this, you're not always going to be 100% happy with what you create all the time. And that's okay as long as you document it and had fun documenting it. Anyways, you guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to call my layout done. And I hope to be back soon sharing more of my October daily. Again, I'm trying to use October just to share my October daily layouts with you. And again, as always, I will have everything linked in the description box for you. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And I hope to see you guys very soon. Bye.